So, I'm using a new camera. I don't know how this looks. We're gonna free ball it and see what happens, I guess. So, we're going to talk today about Sony's conference. I honestly should have recorded this before I watched Nintendo's, but to be real with you, I had I didn't know how to feel after I got out of that conference. Sony's conference was a weird fucking conference because I was sitting there going, well, the beginning was pretty bad, but they showed us Last of Us 2 footage, but they showed us Ghost of Tsushima footage, but they showed us Death Stranding footage, and yes, they showed us Spider-Man footage with some Kingdom Hearts, some Call of Duty, some Destiny, some Neo 2 announcement, Resident Evil 2 remake, and then was that it? I think that was it. I think it was like less than 10 games. And the beginning was pretty fucking bad. It was like the first 30 minutes was just Last of Us 2 footage, which was stopped by intermission from fucking, oh, we need to take an intermission while we move the venue, because it looked like they went from this tent to this little theater looking arena, and then it was like, oh yeah, we're good to go, guys. It's all right, now we can do it. So we're done with your intermission. Well, why the fuck is there intermission? And then there was like the small indie title they showed off that apparently is from the creators of Rick and Morty. I legit don't know how to feel about that conference because the latter half of it was fine, but the beginning wasn't great. And then when I compare it to Microsoft's, it's like, well, Microsoft showed more games and arguably more exclusives. I would almost say, and this is kind of a spoiler alert to going into Nintendo's, but I would say that was probably the worst. That was the culmination of years of setup for fucking Sony. Because to be real, let's think about it. We've known about Ghost of Tsushima. Granted, this is Ghost of Tsushima's second year at E3, so it's more of a passable experience. This is the third time for Last of Us, which is fucking stupid. That game has been teased 2 other times, and we finally get to see gameplay of it, and we don't even know when the bitch comes out. That was the other issue I had. You don't know when any of these games are coming out. Spider-Man had a release date and had shown footage beforehand, so although you show footage of Spider-Man doesn't really mean much because we already seen footage of it. We saw footage of that in Days Gone beforehand. Death Stranding doesn't have a lot to it. The Last of Us 2 doesn't have a lot to it that we hadn't, that like, there was nothing, at least The Last of Us 2 was actual like footage. Death Stranding was walking simulation, and people were sitting there going, Ghost of Tsushima looks lit. From what? It's literally walking around in samurai combat. It's not like people acted like it was on some next level shit. And look, I'm not saying that it didn't have the potential to be that, or that the combat isn't great, but the base of what I'm looking at is exactly what any other game is. It's like, I'm walking around this beautiful thing. Look, all the games look great. Don't get me wrong. All the games look great, but it was like I'm walking around, right? Observing the area, okay, alright, cool. Oh, look, there's some enemy samurai. Let's pull out my sword and circle around the enemy. Clang, clang, stab, dead. There wasn't like a lot to it, but fine. The Call of Duty stuff means very little because it's just, oh, by the way, Call of Duty, what was it? Call of Duty 4 or Call of Duty 3 is on PSN Plus. Whoop-de-doo. Or, oh, look, we got DLC maps for Destiny 2 or something along those lines. Whoop-de-fucking-do. There wasn't a lot to Sony's conference. That's why it kind of tripped me out that people were sitting there going, oh, Sony's conference was pretty good once it got going. No, it wasn't. Once it got going, what was the second game? The second game was Ghost of Tsushima, which I don't think is that big of a deal. It looks great, but just not that big of a deal. Death Stranding still doesn't... It pisses me off how much we've heard and seen of this game, and we still don't know what the fuck it is. We're still playing these stupid-ass games because Kojima wants to make movies, but he won't make movies. Just make fucking movies. I don't want to deal with this dumb shit where every time I see a game from you, I gotta spend 3 or 4 years just to figure out what the point of the game is. What's the point of the game? Ghost of Tsushima has a similar problem. And like I said, these were deep dive games, mind you. And we don't even know when the fuck these games come out. They didn't even give us a release year for any of these games. Here's some footage of Death Stranding. Here's some footage of Last of Us 2. Here's some footage of Ghost of Tsushima. And here's a little bit more footage of Spider-Man that we have already seen almost to death at this point. We literally had saw a bunch of that preview footage. Then you have this new footage. And then right after the fucking conference, you got another Spider-Man demo. Why didn't you put Days Gone here? If you were going to show off a game, and granted, it's not like I think Days Gone is any better. I think Spider-Man is the more interesting game. But Spider-Man also already has the publicity. It's Spider-Man. You don't need to market Spider-Man because it's fucking Spider-Man. The Kingdom Hearts trailer is new, which really makes me baffled why did Square Enix fuck itself. Square Enix went, oh, well, I guess we'll just give Sony the other trailer that looks cool, and we'll just take the bullshit trailer. Once again, making everyone question why the fuck you gave them, why you guys even did a show in the first place when you literally had not enough for all three of you guys to have something unique. So it didn't make any sense. The Kingdom Hearts footage was new. But once again, we already know about that game. We knew the release date before the damn E3 started. So I was like, well, what's the point? Call of Duty, whatever, the indie game, whatever. Neo 2 was a cool announcement, but we didn't see any gameplay of it. Resident Evil 2 announcement was cool, but that's a multi-plat, and they didn't show any gameplay of it. Well, no, I don't think that really was gameplay. Although there is gameplay of it now, as I'm recording this in the future. But at the time of the damn thing, I don't think there was any gameplay. I think that was all... Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was all like cutscenes and shit. None of that was actual gameplay. We have gameplay now, but it's irrelevant. We're talking about the fucking conference. The conference really isn't anything special. I will go ahead and spoil it and say that it was probably the worst of the three. And it's weird, because if I had to argue... Because there's only certain, like, if I had to argue pacing, even with the shitty beginning, I think it had better pacing than Xbox's. I thought Xbox... I don't understand where this overarching praise for Xbox came from. Because I don't agree with the thought process that it had good pacing. But that's just me. That's me personally. I don't agree with that thought process, and I think people are giving Microsoft a little bit too much credit. Sony's just wasn't super interesting for me. Sony's was mediocre, started off really mediocre, got better, but at the end of it all was still a really small look into some games that we know nothing about, which is why I can't say they're second. I saw somebody put them in second. Second of the three major conferences, they were second? Fuck you, what? You don't have release dates for any of those games, and the game that you do have release date for, you already had the release dates previously to the conference. Kingdom Hearts, same thing. Spider-Man, same thing. The only new release date we got, I believe, was the Resident Evil remake and I think Neo 2. Both of which, I think both of those aren't even exclusives. Both of those are multiplats. I think. Neo, I'm not sure. Resident Evil 2, I'm not sure 100%, but I know at least one of them is a multiplat. So, take that for what you will. Anywho, that was a pretty throwaway conference in my opinion. And like I said, it was a culmination of their other conferences because they've shown most of these games repetitively, just in really small snippets and teasers. And it was like, Last of Us 2, well, all the hype of the game being made is gone. Now you just want to see the gameplay. And from what I saw, because I didn't play Last of Us, but from what I've seen from people, they were like, well, the combat looks no different than the first game. Well, that's not a great sign of things to come. Fucking, people were pretty positive on Ghost of Tsushima, okay. And everyone's still kind of like, yeah, Death Stranding has just become less interesting now that we've seen more of it. Because once again, it was a game that was hyped up because of the name behind it, and not because of the gameplay. And now that you've seen gameplay, it just doesn't look interesting. It's one of those things that you would watch the cutscenes for, and you would never touch the fucking game. That's literally, actually, that's how I feel about a lot of Kojima's later games, but that's me personally. There just wasn't nothing to it. I legit have nothing else to say. Like, it just kind of exists. It wasn't like horrendous. It just kind of exists, and it's there. Whoop de fucking do. And yeah, I guess I literally, I've run out of things to say. That's my thoughts on Sony. I literally have nothing else to say. I just don't. I would say that's the worst of the three, personally. Personally, to me, that was the worst of the three. So I'm gonna stop talking before I start rambling on too much. Thank you guys for watching. Leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. This has been the Insane Game Freak. Life's a game, play to win, and I will catch you guys later. Peace. Oh.